You trust someone completely. You share your dreams, your fears, your vulnerabilities. Then one day, without warning, they destroy you. Not with a sword. With information you gave them. With access you granted. With loyalty you earned. Genghis Khan understood something about human nature that most of us learned too late. Betrayal isn't random. It follows patterns. Predictable patterns. And in the 13th century, on the blood-soaked steppes of Mongolia, he built the largest contiguous empire in human history. By mastering one brutal truth, the people closest to you are often the ones who will cut deepest. But here's what nobody tells you. Genghis didn't just defend against betrayal, he weaponized his understanding of it. He turned the psychology of treachery into a system, and if you stick with me through this video, I'm going to show you exactly how he did it, and more importantly, how you can use these same principles to protect yourself in your relationships, your career, and your life right now. If you're ready to see betrayal for what it really is and learn how to navigate it like one of history's greatest strategic minds, hit that subscribe button, because what I'm about to share isn't feel-good advice. It's the unfiltered truth about human nature that might save you years of pain. Let me tell you a story that changed everything for Temujin, the boy who would become Genghis Khan. He was 9 years old when his father Yasuge was poisoned by the Tatars. His father's own tribe, the people who were supposed to protect them, immediately abandoned Temujin's family. They took their animals, their resources, everything. They left a widow and her children to starve on the steppe during winter, but the real betrayal, it came from his father's blood brother, his Anda. In Mongol culture, an Anda wasn't just a friend. It was a bond considered more sacred than biological brotherhood. And this man, who had sworn loyalty to Yasuge, turned his back on the family without hesitation. Temujin watched his mother dig for roots to keep them alive. He watched his siblings' ribs show through their skin. And he learned something that would shape the fate of empires. Loyalty isn't what people say. It's what they do when staying loyal costs them something. Now here's where it gets psychological. Most people think betrayal is about the betrayer being evil or malicious. That's wrong. And that misunderstanding is exactly why you keep getting blindsided. Genghis Khan understood that betrayal is almost always about meeting opportunity, nothing more, nothing less. The Mongol chieftains who abandoned his family weren't cartoon villains. They were rational actors. A dead Khan couldn't protect them anymore. His widow couldn't lead raids or defend territory. Supporting Temujin's family meant taking on mouths to feed with no strategic return, so they made a calculation, and they chose themselves. This is the first brutal truth you need to internalize. Most people aren't loyal to you. They're loyal to what you provide, your value, your protection, your resources, your ability to advance their interests. The moment that equation changes, their loyalty evaporates like water on hot stone. Look at your own life right now. That friend who disappeared when you lost your job, that partner who left when you went through depression, that business associate who stopped returning calls when your company hit rough waters, were they evil? Probably not. They were simply doing what humans do, optimizing for their own survival and success. Genghis Khan's genius was that he didn't get bitter about this. He got systematic. He created a framework for understanding exactly when and why people betrayed. And he built his entire empire around managing this reality. Let me break down his system, because this is where it gets immediately applicable to your life. Khan identified 3 types of people. In any organization, any relationship, any social structure, he called them by different names, but I'm going to translate them into terms you'll understand. There are the loyalists, the opportunists, and the snakes. The loyalists are rare. These are people whose interests are so aligned with yours that betraying you would genuinely hurt them more than it helps. Genghis had maybe 5 of these in his entire life. Subutai, his greatest general, was one. Jeeb was another. These men had opportunities to betray him that would have made them rich beyond measure. They never did. Not because they loved him, because their legacy, their purpose, their entire identity was intertwined with his success. Here's the key. You don't find loyalists. You create them. Genghis gave these men something more valuable than gold. He gave them a mission that mattered, a purpose that transcended individual gain. He made them part of something so significant that betraying it would be like cutting off their own legs. In your life, true loyalty comes from shared vision and mutual investment. Not from words, not from history, from stakes. If someone has nothing real to lose by betraying you, they're not a loyalist. They're just an opportunist who hasn't found their opportunity yet. The opportunists are the majority, maybe 80% of people you'll ever deal with. They're not good or bad. They're transactional. They'll stay loyal as long as the benefits outweigh the costs. Genghis didn't hate these people. He understood them, and he managed them brilliantly. His meritocracy wasn't about being nice. It was about creating a system where betraying him was simply bad business. If you performed, you got rewarded so lavishly that switching sides made no sense. If you betrayed him, the punishment was so certain and so brutal that the risk was never worth it. But here's the sophisticated part. He also rotated people. He never let anyone build too much independent power. He mixed tribes, deliberately breaking up ethnic loyalties. He gave opportunities to outsiders, people who had no base of support except him. Every single person in his system knew that their success came from the empire, not from their tribe or their family or their region. This is directly applicable to you. In your career, in your business, in your relationships, you need to understand who the opportunists are, and you need to create an environment where staying loyal is simply their best option. Not through manipulation, through genuine mutual benefit. Make the cost of betrayal higher than the gain. Make the rewards of loyalty tangible and consistent. Then there are the snakes. The people who will betray you, even when it doesn't make rational sense. These are the truly dangerous ones, because they're not operating on logic. They're operating on emotion, envy, resentment, the psychological need to tear down what they can't build. Genghis had a zero-tolerance policy for snakes, not because he was cruel, because he understood something about organizational dynamics that modern companies are still learning. One snake can poison an entire system. They don't just betray you. They create a culture where betrayal becomes acceptable, where loyalty looks stupid, where trust becomes a weakness. When Genghis discovered that Jamuka, his childhood Anda, his blood brother, had betrayed him not for gain but for ego, he didn't rage, he didn't plead. He executed him according to Mongol custom, without spilling his blood. And he made sure every person in his empire understood the message. Emotional betrayal is unforgivable. In your life, you need to develop the ability to identify snakes early. They're the ones who smile to your face and undermine you behind your back, who celebrate your failures more than your successes, who can't be satisfied with mutual growth because your success makes them feel diminished. Cut them out, completely, not with anger, with cold, strategic finality. Now let's talk about the psychology of why betrayal hurts so much, because understanding this is crucial to recovering from it and preventing it from destroying you. When someone betrays you, your brain experiences it, the same way it experiences physical pain. The same neural pathways light up. This isn't metaphorical, it literally hurts. And there's an evolutionary reason for this. For most of human history, being excluded from your tribe meant death. Your brain still thinks betrayal might kill you. But here's what Genghis Khan understood that you need to understand. That pain is information, it's not random. It's telling you that you misread someone, you misplaced trust, you missed signals. And if you can get past the emotion and analyze it coldly, betrayal becomes one of your greatest teachers. Every time Genghis was betrayed, he studied it. What did he miss? What signs were there? What part of his system failed? And he adjusted. He didn't become paranoid, he became precise. After his blood brother Jamuka's betrayal, he never again made alliances based solely on childhood bonds or emotional connection. He required demonstrated loyalty, skin in the game, mutual vulnerability. He made people prove themselves in small ways before trusting them with anything significant. This is a principle you can use immediately. Stop giving people full trust up front. Trust is not a gift, it's an earned position. Start with small tests. Give someone a minor piece of information and see what they do with it. Give them a small opportunity and watch how they handle it. Promote incrementally, trust gradually. The people who get offended by this approach are usually the exact people you shouldn't trust. Genuine people understand that trust is valuable and should be earned. Snakes want immediate access to your vulnerabilities. Let me tell you about one of the most sophisticated betrayals Genghis ever faced, because it illustrates something crucial about how betrayal actually works in the real world. The Khwarezmian Empire was one of the most powerful states in Central Asia. Genghis sent a trade caravan of 500 men with valuable goods, along with a message of peace and commerce. The governor of Otra, a man named Inalhuk, seized the caravan, killed all the men, and took the goods. This was a staggering betrayal of diplomatic protocol. But here's what's interesting. Inalhuk didn't act alone. He had the implicit permission of the Khwarezmian Shah, and the Shah thought he could get away with it because Genghis was far away, dealing with other enemies. The Shah made a calculation. The reward of the stolen goods outweighed the risk of Mongol retaliation. He was catastrophically wrong. Genghis diverted his entire war machine west. The Khwarezmian Empire was utterly annihilated. Cities that resisted were erased from existence. The Shah died broken and alone on an island in the Caspian Sea. The lesson: betrayal often happens because the betrayer underestimates you. They think you're weak, they think you won't respond. They think the cost will be manageable. And if you don't prove them wrong, decisively and publicly, you invite more betrayal. This doesn't mean you need to destroy everyone who wrongs you, but it means you need to establish clear consequences. In your personal life, this might mean cutting someone off completely instead of half maintaining a toxic relationship. In your professional life, it might mean publicly standing up for yourself instead of quietly accepting being undermined. The people watching need to know that betraying you has real costs. Now I want to talk about something that nobody discusses: how to betray ethically. Because sometimes the person demanding your loyalty doesn't deserve it. Sometimes walking away from a commitment is the right thing to do. Genghis Khan faced this himself. He was initially loyal to Togrul, the Khan of the Kurat tribe, who had been his father's ally. Genghis supported Togrul in battles, shared plunder with him, treated him like family, but Togrul, influenced by his son, began plotting to kill Genghis and take everything he'd built. Genghis didn't wait to be slaughtered in the name of loyalty. He gathered intelligence, confirmed the plot, and struck first. He defeated Togrul and absorbed his tribe. Was this betrayal? Technically, yes. Was it justified? Absolutely. The principle: you owe loyalty to people who honor their obligations to you. You owe nothing to people who are actively planning your destruction. The moment someone breaks faith with you, you are released from your obligations to them. But here's the ethical part. Be honest about it. Genghis didn't sneak around. When he broke with Togrul, he stated his reasons clearly. He gave Togrul's people the option to join him or leave. He didn't lie about his intentions or pretend loyalty while plotting. If you need to leave a job, end a relationship, or break a commitment because the other party has violated their end of the bargain, do it cleanly. Don't sabotage. Don't lie. State your reasons and move on. That's not betrayal. That's self-preservation with integrity. Let's talk about the signs of impending betrayal, because Genghis developed an almost supernatural ability to see it coming. It's not supernatural. It's pattern recognition. First sign: someone starts creating distance. They're less available, less communicative. They're preparing emotionally to hurt you by reducing their attachment to you. In business, this looks like an employee who stops engaging in meetings. In relationships, it's the partner who becomes vague about their schedule. Second sign: they start building alternative power bases. They're cultivating relationships that don't include you. They're creating options. Genghis watched for this obsessively. If a general started building too much personal loyalty from troops, or a governor started making alliances without approval, he intervened immediately. Third sign: they start questioning your decisions publicly, not with genuine questions seeking to understand, with challenges designed to undermine your authority or judgment in front of others. This is pre-betrayal positioning. They're testing whether others will support them against you. Fourth sign: they become overly agreeable. This seems counterintuitive, but it's real. People who are genuinely loyal will disagree with you sometimes. They're invested in the best outcome. People who are planning to betray you will often become yes men first, because they don't want to trigger your suspicion before they're ready to make their move. Fifth sign: they start asking questions about your vulnerabilities, your finances, your relationships, your plans, not in a supportive way, in a reconnaissance way. They're gathering intelligence. If you see multiple of these signs from the same person, act. Don't wait. Don't give them the benefit of the doubt. Investigate quietly, verify, and if it's confirmed, move decisively. Here's something that's going to make some of you uncomfortable. Genghis Khan used strategic paranoia, not clinical paranoia. Strategic paranoia. He had spy networks throughout his empire. He had people watching people. He verified information through multiple sources. He never relied on a single person's account of anything important. This saved his life multiple times. Plots were discovered before they materialized. Betrayals were intercepted before they could do damage. And the knowledge that he had these systems in place deterred many potential betrayals before they even started. You need your own version of this. In business, it means not relying on a single point of contact for critical information. It means building redundant relationships. In personal life, it means paying attention to what your partner's friends say, what patterns you see, what your gut tells you. It means trusting, but verifying. People will call this cynical. Let them. Those people haven't built empires. They haven't protected themselves from real threats. Genghis Khan survived childhood assassination attempts, tribal warfare, and endless political intrigue, to die peacefully in his 60s during a military campaign. His strategic paranoia worked. Now let me tell you the most counterintuitive thing Genghis Khan did. He sometimes promoted people who had betrayed others to join him. This seems insane, right? If someone betrayed their previous leader to join your side, won't they betray you too? Here's the genius. It depends on why they betrayed. If they betrayed because they were opportunistic snakes, yes, they'll betray you. But if they betrayed because their previous leader was incompetent, cruel, or violated the implicit contract, they might be exactly the kind of clear-eyed, principle-driven person you want. Genghis evaluated every defector carefully. He asked, did they betray for personal gain or for principle? Did they sneak away, or did they state their reasons openly? Did they negotiate for personal reward, or did they join because they believed in the Mongol system? Gebe, one of his greatest generals, was an enemy soldier who shot Genghis's horse out from under him in battle. After Genghis won, Gebe admitted it openly instead of hiding. Genghis admired the honesty and the skill, and recruited him. Gebe never betrayed him because Gebe wasn't a snake. He was a warrior who chose competence over blind loyalty to an inferior leader. The lesson? Understand the difference between strategic defection and character betrayal. Someone who leaves a toxic situation isn't necessarily disloyal. They're discerning. Someone who backstabs for personal gain absolutely is disloyal and will do it again. Let's talk about recovery, because if you're watching this, chances are you've been betrayed. Maybe recently, maybe the wound is still fresh, and you're wondering how to move forward without becoming bitter or broken. Genghis Khan's approach was ruthlessly practical. He felt the pain, he acknowledged it. Then he extracted every possible lesson from it and moved forward. He didn't dwell. He didn't replay the betrayal obsessively. He didn't let it define him. After each major betrayal, he rebuilt stronger. After his tribe abandoned him, he built a new tribe based on merit, not blood. After Jamuka's betrayal, he created systems that didn't depend on personal relationships alone. After Togrul's plot, he institutionalized intelligence gathering. Every betrayal made him more capable, not because he wanted revenge, because he refused to be a victim twice. You need to do the same thing. Take the betrayal, study it. What did you miss? Where were you naive? What systems do you need to build? Then implement those lessons and move forward. Don't waste energy on bitterness. Channel it into building something they can't touch. Here's the final piece, and it's the most important. Genghis Khan understood that the best defense against betrayal is making betrayal unnecessary. He created an empire where capable people could rise based purely on merit, where loyalty was rewarded lavishly, where the pie kept growing so nobody had to fight over scraps. The more you create genuine win-win situations, the less betrayal you'll face, because most betrayal happens in zero-sum environments where someone else's gain requires your loss. Build systems where everyone can win by cooperating, where betraying the collective hurts the betrayer as much as anyone. This is hard. It requires abundance thinking in a world trained towards scarcity, but it's the only sustainable path. You can't survive long-term purely on deterrence and paranoia. You need to create genuine alignment. So here's what you're going to do after this video ends. You're going to make a list of every significant relationship in your life, personal and professional, and you're going to honestly categorize them: loyalist, opportunist, or snake. For the loyalists, invest more. Deepen those relationships. Build more together. These people are rare and valuable. For the opportunists, create clear mutual benefit. Make sure they know what they gain from loyalty and what they lose from betrayal. Manage the relationship intelligently. For the snakes, cut them out. Today, not tomorrow. Not after one more chance. Today, you know who they are. Stop pretending you don't. Then build systems. Stop relying on trust alone. Verify important information. Create redundancies. Test people before fully committing. Build environments where cooperation is simply smarter than betrayal. Genghis Khan conquered from the Pacific Ocean to the Caspian Sea, not because he was the strongest warrior, but because he understood human nature better than his enemies. He saw clearly what most people refuse to see, that self-interest drives everything, and loyalty is a structure you build, not a feeling you hope for. This isn't cynicism, it's clarity, and clarity is power. The people who betrayed Genghis Khan are forgotten footnotes in history. The empire he built lasted for generations and changed the world forever, not because he avoided betrayal, because he mastered it. You can do the same. Starting today, with this knowledge, with these systems, with the clear-eyed understanding that trust is earned, loyalty is built, and betrayal is predictable. If you know what to look for, if this video gave you even one insight that could save you from future pain, hit that like button and subscribe, because I'm going to keep bringing you the unfiltered truths about human nature that nobody else wants to talk about. The stuff that actually works in the real world, not in fantasy land. Now go build your empire, and make betrayal too expensive for anyone to afford.